Okay, so this work is on effective strain rate on the uniaxial stress strain behavior of highly cross-linked epoxy. So this work stems out of a bigger project on understanding the fracture behavior of laminating polymers. So we have understood to the fracture by studying the fracture behavior of laminating polymers that the deformation mechanism is very essential in understanding what the fracture is, what is the fracture toughness. Just a minute. So my talk will be divided into four parts. One is that if understanding briefly on the deformation, second on learnings from the tensile curve, and third the compression curve and my conclusions. So polymer fails to deformation without change in volume. That is through shearing, where the deformation of a continuum happens, or it can happen locally to the deformation of a very small volume, and also that is associated with a bit of increase in volume, that is through grazing. If we talk about grazing, then grazing in polymers can be of two types. Grazes in polymers are not cracks; they are continuous materials, but that is kind of a bridge between two continuums. So at low temperature and low strain rates, what happens is that the polymer chains can rotate and move past one another, and that will lead to something called as disentanglement grazing. It's like taking noodles out of a bowl of spaghetti. At very high strain rates or low temperatures, there is not enough time for the polymer molecules to rotate, and hence in that case the covalent bond breaks, and that kind of grazing is called as a fusion grazing. Sometimes in case of compression test, what we have observed is that there is something called a shear yielding. In this case, the entire continuum takes part in the deformation process. So these two deformation mechanisms are very much effective in case of polymers, and depending on what the test conditions are, either of these two mechanisms or their sub-mechanisms are activated. Here, what we have done is that we have taken a rectangular tensile specimens and then tested them over four orders of magnitude, from very low strain rate to a very high strain rate. As we have seen that as we vary the strain rate, the grazing phenomenon changes from a disentanglement based grazing to a season based grazing. But there is no specific effect on the mechanism of the shear yielding as the strain rate changes. So what happens is that at low strain rates, the tensile strength, the ductility as well as the strength is higher. As we slowly increase the strain rate of testing, the strength goes on decreasing, and the ductility also goes on decreasing. But when it is very high, close to zero point 0.2 per second, then we see a sudden increase in the tensile strength and a slight increase in the ductility as well. So moving on to the fracture surface, what we see is that these rectangular specimens, in all the cases, in almost 5 specimens tested for condition, we see that the crack initiates at one of the corner. In case of grazing, grazing usually happens in front of a very sharp crack where plane strain condition prevails usually, and there is hydrostatic stress. But in this case, we see that one of these notches in this rectangular, one of the very corners of these rectangular specimens, those act as stress concentrators or notches, and in this region, all the cracks initiate. So there is some kind of a feature over the initial, over some part of these tensile specimens, and the balance of the specimens is quite different than what this initiation part is. In all the cases, we see such kind of initiation regions. And when we zoom into this initiation regions, we see that these kind of lines are visible. So through an in situ study, we have already determined, I've not put it over here, we have already determined that these kind of lines are the impressions of the crazes that have broken down. So the craze fibrils line up, and what we see over here are a 2D representation of the craze fibrils. So this grazing happens over a small region from the corner, and the change in the tensile behavior at high strain rate, we get a high value that could be due to a change in the grazing phenomenon as we move to higher strain rates. Okay. Another thing to note is that the surface energy is a combination of two terms. One, the van der Waals forces, which could be due to the disentanglement grazing, and the second part comes due to the covalent bonding. The second part at low strain rate does not contribute to the surface energy, but later on it does. And maybe for that reason, there is an increase in the tensile stress. Under compression, what we see is that there is an increase in the compressive yield strength as well as the flow stress behavior as the strain rate is increased. But interesting to note is that the softening post yielding increases with increase in strain rate. This could be due to the fact that this could be due to plastic localization. At high strain rates, small regions participate in the rehardening phase, which follows the softening phase. And because of this localization at high strain rates, the value drops down to a lower value, unlike low strain rates. And for high strain rate, we get the softening effect, which is pronounced. The modulus initially increases largely and then more or less stabilizes. This is also the case in case of the tensile test. So here is a summary of all the results. We see an increase in the modulus. In case of tensile stress, in case of the tensile stress strain curve, we see an initial decrease in the tensile strength, and thereafter there is an increase. In compression, there is a monotonic increase with strain rate. So to conclude, we can say that in case of compression test, what is dominant is the shear yielding phenomenon. And in case of shear yielding phenomenon, what happens at there is a sequential increase with strain rate. We do not see any discrepancies. But in case of tensile stress, when we have particularly a rectangular specimen which has an edge, then what happens in that initiation region and the type of grazes that are formed, those can drastically affect the tensile stress strain behavior. And all these factors are very much essential when we consider the fracture of epoxy. Because if we do it high strain rate and low strain rate, then there can be an interplay between the season grazing and the disentanglement grazing, which ultimately affects the K1C value. So that is all. Thank you.